Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for November 9th, 2017. We'll start right off, and the first item on our agenda is to approve the Park and Rec's fiscal year 18 revolving fund. Gentlemen?
Thank you. So our plan for the year for the revolving fund beginning balance is a fund total of $440,369.24. We're carrying over each of the ending balances from the prior year with 4 exceptions. We are creating a new account, new allocation of $4,000 for some gym shelving at the Carroll Gym. The area right outside of the gym door, a lot of things kind of, it's like a mud room at home. It's a mess, and so we need shelving. So we're going to spend a little money there to make sure that it's a little more organized and not as dangerous coming into the room. So that's estimated to be $4,000. We are going to also do or allocate $4,000 for the equipment room organization. Again, an area where we have a lot of equipment from various activities, and it's kind of a mess. So we're going to spend a little bit to try to get that cleaned up in a little better spot. And then the third item is $500 for tables for Carroll room programs. Just again, improve that space so that we can make it a little more useful. And then finally, we're going to allocate $10,115.42 to tennis court repair. And that's an account that we fund every year for future replacement of the surface. We are 2 years away from our scheduled replacement. We're thinking now that we might want to move that up based on the current condition of the surface. So we wanted to allocate, typically we'd allocate $5,000, we wanted to allocate $10,000. The extra amount is the remaining balance in our surplus.
I have a question. Will you also be taking care of the backboard at the same time that you do the courts?
Yeah, we most likely we've looked at it. We might even do that before the surface is taken care of. That's a plan for next spring to fix it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
When the equipment is there, it would be nice to be able to do both.
Right.
It's great. Thank you.
Is the equipment room the room on the second floor? That's the
Yes, that's the part of our office.
Yeah.
Yes. So houses, we have lots of uniform for our field hockey program in the fall. We also have basketballs for our intramural basketball. We have all of our baseball equipment, all our baseball uniforms, all of that is all in that room. So it's just kind of there right now, and some of it's being damaged just because it's not properly stored. So
it's where you pick up your soccer balls with the first aid kit.
What colors are our uniforms for your programs for Say Soccer?
So most of them are blue and white. Field hockey, blue and white. The town soccer, blue and white. Our basketball, we use multiple colors. We use the blue, but then we use multiple colors because we have usually 4 teams per grade. So, but yeah, we'll probably try to stay consistent with the town. Yeah.
Nice. Good. Excellent. Do I hear any questions? Do you have any questions for Parks and Rec? Or?
No.
So I actually have a question, but it's not really on the topic of this. It's just something I heard last night. So I guess the basketball hoops were taken down from the gym over there?
Correct.
So, but was that gym ever used for basketball programs or?
We a couple years ago, we used to have kids program. The problem is the hoops did not move, so the hoops were set at 10 feet. So for a lot of kids programs, we did use them for rentals. We did. However, they were deemed unsafe by the engineers who did. We have replaced the floor recently in the gym. But yeah, so there's no hoops in there for the last.
Back in the old days, we would use that for that it would be for town rec and for town basketball. That was one of the places where you had your practice. So it was because the gyms are so few and far between. We actually used that.
So then the gym is just used for other programs?
Yeah, after school programs, so floor hockey, soccer, adult exercise. The seniors use for pickleball. We partner with COA for pickleball. So yeah, used for rentals, used for a lot of programs, just not basketball. If you looked at all of our programs that were in the gym, there were not a lot of basketball, just because the hoops didn't move. Chickering Gym, Pine Hill, other gyms in the area, teams preferred those gyms over the gym. And the ceiling is very low, so.
Have you been in the spin studio yet?
No.
See?
That's great.
Spectacular. It is just fantastic.
Wonderful.
It's really, really
Well,
nice.
and back to the gym, we just replaced the floor.
Okay,
That had a regular wooden basketball
Yeah, right.
floor, and now that was finally beyond its useful life, so we removed it and put down new tiles, and so it's a good sports court surface.
okay,
But that was also done out of revolving funds.
okay.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move that we would accept the budget of $440,369.24 for Parking and Rec.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Moving on, we have the renewal of the annual package store and club liquor licenses. And I believe, Mr. Jeffries, you said it's something of an anniversary for you.
This is a very, very important date. This was the very first thing that I ever did as a selectman last year. So,
And now you practiced it.
lots of licenses later. Never thought there would be this many licenses in the town of Dover, but
Well, it's
That's a great
wonderful,
thing.
and just to refresh everyone's memory, Mr. Jeffries joined us after the November election, so that's why this would be your first meeting. And here we go again with a round of licenses, so that's wonderful. So are there any questions, or is there anything that we need to speak to? Mr. Ramsey? No? Nope, we're fine?
The police chief is fine with the renewal of both licenses, and we have received the mandatory liquor liability insurance from the Legion, and we'll be getting the fire safety inspection certificate shortly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mrs. Pugach, that's great. Then I would entertain a motion.
I move, Madam Chair, that we accept both applications for liquor licenses for the Dover Legion and for the package store.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. Glad to have those. And now we come to the showcase of our meeting, which is, this is the budget beginning process for the selectmen's budget. And I'm going to turn this over, if I may, to you, Mrs. Pugach, to talk a little bit about the highlights of this year's budget.
Sure. In your binders, you have the 40 or so FY19 selectmen's operating budgets, and they've all been prepared in accordance with the non-union step increment plan. The increase, as you know, is 2.5%, cost of living adjustment, and also in accordance with collective bargaining agreements, employee contracts, and any existing vendor contracts, and using the warrant committee's guidelines for the energy units. There are a few changes this year. A couple of them are of note, but really it's minor adjustments. In the selectmen's budget, we are asking for an additional $1,000, up from $24,000 to $25,000 for professional services. We spent $25,000 in FY16, and in FY17, this line was overdrawn by $6,700. So we think it makes sense to gradually increase this. In the copying and postage, there was an increase in calendar year 2017, a rate change for the first-class postage per piece from 47 to 49 cents, and now in January of 18, it will be another 1 cent, but we think we can absorb it in the existing budget, so we won't increase that. And we have realized just a very small decrease in the equipment rental line item, and that's with the new mail machine. The rental of the meter from the U.S. Postal Service actually went down by more than half. So there's a small change there. In the town accountant's budget, sadly, it appears that the town accountant, we've convinced for a couple of years now to put off her retirement, will be retiring at the end of this fiscal year, which is really going to be a huge loss for us. However, she has very kindly agreed to stay on for an additional 10 weeks of transition, so that the successor accountant can be trained by her in all respects. She will close out this current fiscal year, which is a big process, and then she will train the new accountant in the startup, fiscal startup for FY19. And also there's a small contractual increase, as there has been in recent years, for the annual town budget audit, $500. And you will see in your packets tonight, there is a fee agreement for you to review and vote on.
Okay.
And also, we again are adding a new $3,500 in professional services. This was a reserve fund transfer last year for the audit of the student activities fund, which is a new requirement.
And a new line item for
That's
us.
correct.
Right.
In data processing, we are very concerned about technology security, as is the whole world. It's evidenced by all the news we hear of what's been happening in terms of hacking and information, people's information being stolen, information being held for ransom. So we are recommending a one-time data security audit at a cost of $5,380. That would be added to the professional services line item, and they will try to poke holes and see if there are any in Dover's various technology systems and make recommendations if they find anything. The biggest increase is for the website services line item. We are migrating the town emails from First Class, which is being used less and less by municipalities and schools. We've gotten a lot of complaints about it's not easy to navigate. We're moving over to Google, which is widely used, and we are anticipating that more of the town and board committees will use their town email if we switch to Google, and then that would mean that they would be meeting the public records requirement that we archive all emails as town records, public records.
Do I understand then that it would be an outside consultant that would do the migration for us? Do you know, or?
That, I'm not sure.
I don't
can't
know either.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that
Right.
for you.
Okay, thank you.
That's for 140 emails.
Okay.
Okay, which is roughly what we have right now. And also there will be a slight increase for the equipment line item, because we've added some tablets and scanners and things to our 7-year rotation schedule for replacement. And there will be a one-time purchase of cemetery software, which both the cemetery supervisor and the IT support person are recommending. It's apparently excellent software for tracking and meeting all of those needs for the cemetery department. In terms of the town buildings, we are, in accordance with the warrant committee's guidelines, going to level fund the electricity costs for the townhouse and the Carroll Community Center and the Whiting Road building. However, looking at the fuel line items, that's gotten skewed in recent years for some of the town buildings more than others, so we're trying to adjust that, and so we are reducing the townhouse fuel line item by $3,600 and $15,000 at the Carroll Community Center, which was the most skewed high. And the townhouse copier has been purchased, so that will go up that $9,000 in capital outlay will go away in FY19.
That's great.
Town report, there has been discussion with the board, and then it was an article at town meeting brought in front of the voters to determine whether they might consider a different distribution method for town reports. Not everybody wants a hard copy, so based on discussions between the chair of the town report committee and the chair of the board of selectmen, it's been decided to reduce that number from 2,300, which is how many residences get postal deliveries, to 500. And they will be available, and we will get more information in a few town buildings. Council on Aging, perhaps, we have to check with them, library, and hopefully at the 2 upper-level doorways in the entryways there. So that if people do want a hard copy, they could get one. It will also be available, as it always has been, online, electronically, by department. In engineering, last year there was an increase there was a new line item added for stormwater engineering services for MS4 permit compliance per the EPA, stormwater management mandates. So that line item was added for $46,100 in this current fiscal year. And in consultation with our stormwater engineers, we are recommending $55,500 in FY19 in order to complete all of the necessary processes related to the MS4 mandates per the statutory timelines. Workers' comp, and there were a couple of shock loss years in our 3-year, we looked at 3 years and calculate the workers' comp based on experience, loss experience, and we had a couple of shock loss years that have dropped off. So in FY19, even using the insurer's projected 10% increase, the budgeted amount is $2,000 less than the current year based on the actual gross premium from this year. Group health insurance is increased by 10% in FY19 based on the West Suburban Health Group's preliminary forecast, and also in the group health budget, the OPEB consultant line has $1,000 in it for ongoing reporting requirements. And finally, in other insurance, despite the fact that our insurer said to forecast a 10% increase, again, because the actual gross premiums were lower this year for property casualty and fire, we're only recommending a 4% increase in that budget. So those are the highlights, basically, and you have your detail that you can take with you to review as you're having your turkey.
Mrs. Pugas, I can't thank you enough. I do want everyone to understand that the preparation of these budgets is a very painstaking, very exacting process that you follow, all of you follow in the office, where the departments contribute, you vet them all, you make sure that they all work, and then you bring us the highlights. And we're lucky enough to be able to take them home for review, and then we will act on them. But thank you, Mr. Ramsey.
Well, thank you.
Thank
I
you
will
so
say,
much.
Mr. Ramsey really, ultimately, he has the final review of all of the selectmen's operating budgets, and he can speak to highway and police, because those I don't do anything with those at all.
Well, I'm so grateful for the operations. Thank you very much. Would you mind sharing with us about the highway?
Not a problem, Madam Chair. So there are only a couple of real highlights. Again, all of the budgets have come in, as they always do, prudently and tight. I'll just point your attention, and there's a memo in the highway budget 422 and also in the police budget that details this. But there are 2 items of note. In the town garage budget, we've also reduced the fuel oil line by approximately $7,000 based on the usage experience. And in solid waste, and this is the second time this has happened in my 40-year career, Mr. Hughes was able to negotiate better contract about 6 or 7 years ago, and the actual tipping fee went down. And now, because of the ban instituted by the Board of Selectmen on commercial haulers, the actual tonnage is going down. So that budget has been decreased by about $28,000 for fiscal year 19.
Wonderful. I thank you very much, Mr. Ramsey. I also would like to thank Mrs. Lisbon and the Recycling Committee because they really brought to our attention the importance of eliminating the commercial haulers from our transfer station. And look at the numbers in the first year. I mean, that's a dramatic change. So, Mrs. Lisbon and to everyone on recycling, thank you very much. This is excellent.
And if I may, Madam Chair, also echo your compliments of Mrs. Bugach and Mr. Shillow's
I
work.
know.
I did a superlative job this year of staying out of the way. I was not things were reported to me, they went better than usual, but they did.
And you're not taking that person.
No, absolutely not. That's been my intention for years. So I want to really publicly commend them for the tremendous job they've done.
Well, and rumor has it that both of you put on your running shoes the couple of days before this meeting to get everything in this form, in the correct form for us. So it really, we notice it, every bit of it. Thank you so much.
I think Mona enjoyed it because she doesn't like to sit in one place. So she was back and forth with the copier on the floor, spreading everything out. It was really quite an energized time.
This is a good table.
Yeah,
Did you use this?
I did not, actually.
Because this would be a really good table.
Yeah. This would be a good table for Thanksgiving dinner.
What time should we come?
There we go.
There's a kitchen downstairs.
That's right.
So unless there are any questions from board members at this particular point, my recommendation is that we take these budget books home, look at them very carefully, reflect on exactly what we heard from Mrs. Pugach and from Mr. Ramsey, and if we have any questions, we can pose them. We can pose them next meeting. We will be voting on accepting these budgets either 2 weeks from now, or sorry, I guess our next meeting is 3 weeks because of Thanksgiving, right? Either 3 weeks from tonight, or perhaps at the next meeting after that, depending on if we have any significant substantive questions to answer. But thank you so much.
Very well done.
And again, I don't want to cut you off, Mrs. Hunter, or
No, very well done. Thank you. I think that's a,
the plan.
plan.
Good plan.
Excellent. And the next item on the agenda is the town report, and would you sort of touched on that.
I did.
Right.
Yeah, so all I could really add is that the 2017 Dover Town Report
Right.
instructions and template will go out next week along with this memo.
Okay.
That will be sent by the Town Report Committee. The Selectmen's memo will be sent separately. And the date by which the individual town reports from the various departments, boards, and committees are due back is Friday, January 12th of
Okay.
2018.
So that they can begin to edit and get it and
That's,
assemble it.
yeah, it's
right?
quite a process
Right,
on
yes.
their end. So
Absolutely.
we're asking for people to, submit them timely to the town report committee so they can do
And
that.
I would love to share with the board, just to share, I had a wonderful conversation with Mrs. Weld a couple days ago, talking about, she wanted to run by me the idea of how many copies, hard copies, that I think would be a good idea to start. If we weren't going to have the 2,300 and we were going to try to transition to more and more electronic copies. And she used the number 500, which I thought was a wonderful idea. And then she and I decided that it would be a very interesting experiment with putting the town reports, as you said, in 3 or 4 places where townspeople would be able to come in and pick them up, or, for example, COA could home deliver some to certain people who would want them. But it'll be very telling at the end of, say, April next spring, how many are left.
Right.
In other words, are all 500 gone, or do we have 400 left? I mean, in other words, it'll be an interesting study.
What if there are 700?
Very good point, Mr. Ramsey.
Yeah.
Right. But it'll be an interesting study as to how transitioned this community actually is into electronic data. So
Yes.
I thought,
It will be interesting to see how many telephone calls you get about when the,
Yes.
I think it'll be the same 5 people who call every year.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly post something on the town
Right.
website so people know.
please feel free to come in and pick up your copy of the town report if
Yeah.
you'd like the hard copy. Right. Well, thank you. That sounds wonderful. And Mrs. Weld, thank you so much for all of that hard work that is just now ramping up, actually. Excellent. So the next item on the agenda is executing the fiscal year 18 to fiscal year 21 audit engagement letter. My understanding is, and I will certainly ask Mr. Ramsey, they've changed the language of this, just a boilerplate
Slightly.
language? Right, okay. Nothing substantive, it's just, okay. I thought that that was the case. So are there any questions? Does anyone on the board have a question about this? It's just boilerplate language for audit.
No, and my understanding is all we need to do, Madam Chair, is move that we accept the motion, and I would like to move we accept the motions. Do we need a separate motion for each? So the motion for accepting the audit agreement,
engagement
I'm sorry, engagement.
for 3 years.
Excellent. All right, and is there a second?
Well, I think we should mention that the fees are $26,000 for fiscal year ended 2018, $26,500 fiscal year ended June 30th, 2019, $27,000 for June 30th, 2020, and June 30th for 2021, $27,500. So really minor increases year over year.
Excellent, and I appreciate you reading these, right.
Madam Chair, my understanding is these are in line, and Mr. Ramsey, I'm sure you can speak to that, the fee is in line.
And it's a commodity.
Yeah. And they do excellent work, and there's always more they're required to test and comply with.
Excellent, then.
So do you want me to second the motion?
Sure.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, so that is accepted.
And then we have
And-
the second engagement letter. for
That's
the,
right. Student activity
for
fund.
the Student Activity Fund, and this is just 1 year, 2016, 2017,
Yes.
and it's for $3,500.
Not to exceed $3,500, yeah, which would be the hourly rate.
And just a reminder, this was a reserve fund transfer last year, and so this year we've just put it into the budget.
So I make a motion that we approve the engagement for the agreed upon procedures to be performed on the activities fund for the school year ending 2016, 2017.
Thank you.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. The next item on the agenda is to vote to expend the police department gift. On 11/9, the Board of Selectmen, this is tonight, will have voted to authorize expenditure of a gift or grant in the amount of $1,000 from the various number, I won't read the number, but it is the Gift Donation Police Fund. So they're looking for permission to expend that $1,000.
Jackets.
Jackets, right. And it's for additional jackets.
And you had voted to accept the gift earlier.
Right,
This
this
is-
is how they'd like to
This is
spend
how they
it.
like to spend it,
Right.
yeah.
Right. In fact, it's an interesting thing, we just did this at our previous meeting, where indeed we had a gift, and then in one case we did have a plan, and then in another case we didn't. So we
Right.
made the distinction of approving, so
Right.
thank you very much. I love the consistency. So do I have a motion?
Mrs. Hunter, are you?
Okay, so I'll make a motion for us to accept the expenditure of the gift of $1,000 for the purpose of purchasing additional jackets for the police force.
I would like to second that gift, Madam Chair, and once again thank the Metaphora family who made the gift possible.
Wonderful, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, Mr. Jeffries, here we are.
Special liquor licenses. Is there some type of subliminal sort of message this evening between liquor licenses and approvals and
It is coincidental, isn't it?
strictly coincidental? Strictly, Mr. Ramsey, strictly coincidental. Retroactive November 5th, a wedding at Elm Bank, and these are for special one-day licenses, the approval for special one-day licenses. So retroactively, November 5th, a wedding at Elm Bank. November 11th, early Thanksgiving celebration at Kraft Hall. November 14th, Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital at the Connors Center at Boston College. November 30th, Boston College Lynch School of Education at the Connors Center. And on May 5th,
That's amazing.
this bride has got it together. This is either the bride or the mother of the bride.
Right.
Good for you. A bridal shower, Hale Reservation, May 5th. Okay. So, Madam Chair, we'd move that we accept the special one-day liquor licenses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have to tell you all a very funny story. I was talking with a friend, walking and talking with a friend, and she was pointing out to me how lucky South Natick was to have the Connors Center. And I said, well, actually, the Connors Center is in Dover. And she said, oh, no, I don't think it is. I said, well, actually, we do quite a bit of work around helping the Connors Center. So it was a very funny, that's right, it was a very funny conversation. She was very surprised that it belonged to Dover.
Well, it belongs to BC.
Madam
Yes,
Chair, yeah,
it's
exactly.
sitting with
West
us.
Boston College.
Sitting with us. Thank you.
Miss Megan Ahern is planning this shower event well in advance, so good for you. Yeah. Well done.
Type A person.
Yeah, or
Wonderful.
mom or dad is making sure this is all in line.
Well, that's
Wow.
She
excellent.
gets to check the box.
Yeah,
Right.
thank you. So,
And it gives her friends lots of time to save up.
That's right.
getting here, saving up,
That's right.
two big things.
One of on a serious note, when we had our last meeting, our dear Carl Sheridan had just passed away, just within a day or so ahead of the meeting. And because the memorial service had not been decided upon at that time, it was very hard, but we decided not to say anything then, wanted to wait, where tonight we would be able to not only say to Sue Sheridan how much our thoughts are with you and your family, and how deeply your husband, your Carl, will be missed in this community, how much he has meant to this Dover community. All the years I've been here, and certainly for people who have been here a lifetime, Carl was here a lifetime, contributing to this community in so very many ways. His memorial service will be on November 18th at 10 o'clock at the Dover Church for all who are interested and hopeful about coming. And I wanted to be able to share that with the viewers, and I also wanted to say how very sorry we are about his passing, and at the same time, how grateful we are for everything that he has meant to this community.
Very, very well said. And I would just like to add that when we did hear of Carl's passing, Madam Chair and Dave had the conversation and authorized the flag to be flown at half-mast for the 5 days of last week, so, which I thought was a great tribute to Carl and the years of service. And Sue, at our long-range planning meeting last night, she really extended her appreciation for that gesture. And so thank you, Madam Chair and Dave and Greer for doing that on behalf of Carl and Sue and the family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, very well done.
You know, he was, when you think of Dover, you think of a few people, and Carl was definitely one of one of the people that I associate with Dover. You know, I remember seeing his red car parked outside Town Hall very early in the morning as he was getting ready for work. Always had a smile on his face, always had a story to share. When I started working in town government about 14 years ago of volunteering, you know, he made a point of introducing himself to me and sharing a lot of Dover history. And I think I certainly, and I think everybody in this town will remember that. He just gave so much back to the town. And, you know, he will be missed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all, and again, the reminder, it will be the 18th at the Dover Church at 10 o'clock in the morning. Our thoughts are with the family. We have no citizens at this moment in the audience, and at the same time, may I turn to you both and ask if anything that you would like to share, or?
I would like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
That's right, this is amazing.
Right.
Hard to believe we've come
It
so
finally
far.
feels like winter out
It
there.
does. I would like to say to our veterans,
Right,
Veterans
that's-
Day, a thank you. Thank you for your service. We are grateful forever for the service of all of our veterans and the sacrifices that all of our veterans
Absolutely.
made.
Absolutely. Thank you
So,
very much,
yes.
Mr. Jeffries. That's great. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn
All
our
right,
meeting.
thank you.
Seconded. Thank you,
All
Mrs.
in
Hunter.
favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good
Happy
night.
Thanksgiving. Thank you.